You won't recognize most of the places in this video. Not because they're new, but because they were never meant to be popular. Some are hard to reach. Some are misunderstood. And a few don't behave the way landscapes normally do. Let's start with one of them. In Death Valley National Park, California, there's a flat, empty lake bed. It's famous for its sailing stones. Large rocks and stones sit alone on the mud, with long trails carved behind them, even though no one sees them move. This is why the lake is called Racetrack Playa, because the moving stones leave long, straight tracks across the lake bed, like a giant race course. And playa means dry lake bed, flat ground left behind after water evaporates in desert basins. For years, people thought it was a mystery. Today, science has an answer. After rare rain, a thin layer of water freezes at night. When the ice breaks into sheets, light winds slowly push the ice, and the rocks slide with it across the soft mud. The movement is slow, quiet, and rare. Some stones travel only once every few years. In the far east of Russia, something unexpected appears between mountains and forests. This is Chara Sands, sometimes called the Chara Desert. It's a small field of real sand dunes located in Siberia, a region known for extreme cold and long winters. The sand formed thousands of years ago from river deposits left behind after glaciers melted. Wind slowly shaped these sediments into dunes. What makes Chara Sands unusual is the setting. The dunes sit beside pine forests, rivers, and snow-covered peaks, all within the same landscape. Here, desert and tundra exist side by side, without borders, fences, or signs. In Geneva, two rivers meet, but they don't mix right away. This is the Rhône-Arve confluence, often called La Jonction. The Rhône flows out of Lake Geneva and appears clear and blue-green. The Arve comes down from alpine glaciers and looks cloudy brown, filled with fine sediment. When the two rivers meet, they run side by side for a long distance. The difference stays visible because the waters have different temperatures, speeds, and sediment levels. Over time, the rivers slowly blend, but at the meeting point, the contrast is sharp enough to see from bridges and even from the air. This isn't an illusion or pollution. What you see is the result of two very different journeys meeting in one place. The two rivers continue downstream and only gradually begin to mix. In Flemish Brabant, just southwest of Brussels, there's a forest that turns blue for a few weeks every spring. This is Hallerbos, also called Het Hallerbos, often nicknamed the Blue Forest. The color comes from common bluebells, Hyacinthoides non-scripta, that cover the ground, usually around mid-April and into early May, depending on the year. Hallerbos is about 552 hectares and sits mostly in the municipality of Halle. Most visitors come for the bluebells, But the forest itself is also known for tall beech trees and marked walking routes designed to protect the flowers from being trampled. In Putaruru, on New Zealand's North Island, clear blue water rises directly from underground rock. This is Te Waihou Blue Spring. The water here is incredibly clear. Visibility can reach over 60 meters because it has been naturally filtered underground for many years before reaching the surface. The temperature stays steady at around 11 degrees Celsius all year. The flow never stops, releasing millions of liters every day. Around 70% of New Zealand's bottled water comes from this single spring. Because of its importance, the area is strictly protected, and swimming is not allowed. Te Waihou Blue Spring feeds the Te Waihou River and remains one of the purest freshwater sources in the country. Near English Harbour in Antigua, a stretch of coastline is lined with tall, narrow stone columns. These are the Pillars of Hercules. They are not built and not arranged. They formed when waves and weather slowly wore away softer limestone, leaving behind a series of vertical pillars. The formations sit right at the edge of the island, facing open sea. As waves hit the cliffs, water moves through gaps in the rock, sharpening the shapes over time. The name comes from an old sailor tradition. Dramatic coastal landmarks were often linked to Hercules, who was believed to mark the limits of the known world. Today, the site lies within Nelson's Dockyard National Park. There are no structures around it, just exposed rock and the sea. Near Samandağ in Hatay, on Turkey's Mediterranean coast, Romans faced a simple problem. Every heavy rain sent water and rubble down the mountains and into the harbour of the ancient port city Seleucia Pieria. Their solution is still here today, the Vespasianus Titus Tunnel, a flood control tunnel cut straight through rock. Work began under Emperor Vespasian, continued under Titus, and was completed later in the 2nd century under Antoninus Pius. This wasn't one tunnel only. It's a whole system. A dam, channels, 2 main tunnel sections, and a long outlet channel that redirects floodwater away from the harbour. What makes it impressive is the method. It was carved by hand, with no modern machines, just planning and labour. Today, the site is on Turkey's UNESCO tentative list, and you can still walk through parts of the route the water once rushed through. In Argentina's Catamarca province, near the small village of Villaville, the desert has a spot that looks like a row of stone castles. People call it Los Castillos. It sits about 15 kilometers from Villaville. These towers are not man-made. They formed as wind and water slowly eroded soft rock over millions of years, leaving long, tall shapes and different natural colors in the stone. Most visits are done by a walk through open terrain until the formations start rising in front of you, like walls and spires. From one angle, the rocks look like Gothic towers. From another, they look like thin ridges and cliffs, all lined up like a natural castle city of stone. In Peru's Pasco region, there's a place where the forest is made of rock. This is Wailai, a high-altitude landscape filled with massive stone formations spread across an open plateau. The area sits more than 4,000 meters above sea level, where the air is thin and the weather can shift quickly. Cold winds, rain, and ice have slowly carved the rock over thousands of years. Across the plateau stand hundreds of natural stone forms. Some look like animals, others like towers or faces. None of them were shaped by people. Wind, water, and temperature did all the work. Wailai was officially protected in 1974, and it's even on UNESCO's tentative list because of its unusual geology and landscape. Nothing here was arranged or built. The shapes exist simply because nature allowed them to form. Ganve is a village built entirely on Lake Nokue in Benin, not far from the city of Cotonou. Around 20,000 people live here in houses raised on wooden stilts above the water, making it one of the largest lake villages in Africa. Ganve was founded in the 1600s by the Tofinu people, who were fleeing slave raids carried out by the Fon and other groups. They settled on the lake because the Fon believed it was forbidden to fight on water, which made the lake a safe refuge. This allowed the Tofinu to build a stilt village. The name Ganve means "we survived." Today, daily life still runs by canoe. There are homes, schools, markets, and churches built above the water. Fishing and fish farming feed many families, and wooden boats are the only way to move around. People often call Ganve the Venice of Africa, but this is not a copy of anywhere. It's a real community that learned how to live with water as its ground. In northeast Chad, the Sahara rises into a large rocky highland. This area is known as the Ennedi Massif or Ennedi Plateau. The land here is made of sandstone. Over a very long period, wind and erosion shaped the surface into wide plateaus, deep canyons, tall cliffs, and large natural arches. The terrain is rough and broken. Moving across it is difficult, and much of the area has no tracks or roads. From the air, the massif looks like a pattern of cut stone. On the ground, the rock walls and open spaces feel massive and exposed. Because of its scale and geology, the Ennedi Massif is protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Sod Crater Lake lies in southern Ethiopia within a deep volcanic crater. The crater is wide and steep, and at its base sits a lake filled with salty, mineral-rich water. The high soda content is what gives the lake its dark, dense appearance. The name El Sod comes from this natural soda. Locally, the crater is known as Ila Suda or Bokeh Soda. For generations, Borana communities have descended into the crater to collect salt. The salt is mainly used for livestock and has long been part of daily life in this region. Off the coast of Nayarit, near Puerto Vallarta, there's a beach hidden inside a rocky island. The beach sits beneath an open ceiling with no direct access from the sea. The only way in is by swimming through a narrow water tunnel. This is the hidden beach at the Islas Marietas. The opening above formed when parts of the island collapsed. Early in the 1900s, the islands were used for military target practice, which weakened the rock. Over time, natural erosion caused the roof to fall in. Sunlight enters from above, while the surrounding walls block strong waves, keeping the water calm inside. Today, the beach is protected, with limited access to preserve the marine life around the islands. On the Annapurna circuit in central Nepal, a loud rush of water cuts through the mountainside. This is Chyamche Falls, also known as Chyamche Waterfall, near the village of Chyamche in the Marsyangdi River Valley. The waterfall drops straight down a steep rock face, fed by snowmelt and mountain streams from the surrounding hills. During the monsoon, the flow becomes powerful and wide, filling the valley with sound. The falls sit along one of Nepal's most famous trekking routes. Trekkers pass right beside it on the trail, with the spray often reaching the path, yet they feel raw and untamed, shaped entirely by the terrain. In Nicaragua, just outside the city of Masaya, the ground stays active. This is Masaya Volcano, one of the few places on Earth where glowing lava can be seen inside the crater. Masaya is known for its constant activity. Gas rises day and night, and at times the lava lake below the surface lights the crater with a deep red glow, especially after dark. Because the magma sits close to the surface, the volcano releases strong gases. Early Spanish explorers called it La Boca del Infierno, meaning the mouth of hell. Masaya is part of Masaya Volcano National Park, and unlike most volcanoes, people can reach viewpoints by road instead of long hikes. The lava doesn't explode upward here. It stays contained, visible, and intense, a reminder that the ground beneath Nicaragua is never fully at rest. Not every place needs an explanation. Some places are simply reminders that the world isn't finished, and neither is our understanding of it.